Hey guys, it's Jess from Stark Skincare. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am the founder of a very small indie beauty brand. You could classify us as green, but I'm shying away from that title, at least for the next couple of weeks, because I am profoundly embarrassed by the way the green beauty industry has just been acting lately. Okay, so full disclosure, my anxiety is super high this week. Not feeling like at the top of my game, so this won't be a particularly eloquent video. Not that I think most of my videos are, but yeah, my area, I live in the Ottawa-Gatineau area, so like the capital of Canada, and we were just hit by 3 major tornadoes on Friday, and like we weren't affected. I mean, you know, directly, like my apartment wasn't hit, but I'm just still kind of like in shock by how narrowly we avoided such a major devastating disaster. And so it's still just like affecting me mentally, and yeah, I don't know, maybe just like seasonal changes too. It's like cold and dreary, and that can just really affect my mood. You probably can relate to that. So yeah, just feeling a little rare, but just thought that I would just say that just to, you know, be honest. And yeah, so there's been quite a bit of annoying debate in the green beauty world for the past couple of weeks. I guess it started last week. I'm really not here to, you know, blame or point fingers, but let's just say that it's an account that is supposed to be speaking for a number of brands, and I just don't feel like I'm being represented by some of that messaging, because it's heavily based on fear, and you know, it's fear-mongering tactics, which I hate. Stark has been against fear-mongering in order to, you know, seduce people over to like the green side since day one. I think it's really stupid. You guys know that I am so moderate with my views. Like you know, I sort of see what we put on our skin and our body very much like our diet, or just like how we live our lives day to day. I mean, I tried to make good choices mostly, but I also don't beat myself out about it, or I try not to. I try to get away from that, because, you know, that stress is bad. So it's something that I try to avoid. I get, you know, if you have generalized anxiety disorder, then you too would understand, you know, you understand that like we can feel like the lions are chasing us when there's just nothing there. There's nothing actually wrong. So I try to go easy on myself and just look at that part of my lifestyle very similar to diet. So I eat lots of vegetables and I eat really healthy, but I also do enjoy the occasional beer and or wine or gummy bears or dessert, you know, that kind of thing, chips, whatever, but it doesn't make up the bulk of my diet. And then that's how I also see my skincare, where the bulk of what I use is not natural and, you know, healthy. And I have to do this with everything now, because who knows what anything means anymore? What does green beauty mean? You know, like we got so focused on labels that it's just everything is losing all meaning, and I'm so irritated because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if my brand is green beauty or clean beauty, or maybe I'm just a big old greenwasher. Like, I'm really not, but you know, it's just, it really comes down to, just like with food, you have to read your ingredient labels, and then you have to make that decision for yourself. If, you know, you want to get gluten-free brownies instead of a salad, or you want just like the full-on, you know, nastiest, delicious brown, like, you know, like you just, it's just, we all have to make like our own decisions when it comes to this stuff. And there's so much pressure and emphasis put on the brands, and so much focus on the brands and what we do and our lifestyles, and, you know, whether or not we're being bought out and whether or not we are sellouts, whether or not we use, you know, shitty marketing or great marketing. And it's a lot of pressure, but I do think that as brands, we, you know, need to be accountable for our actions. So I think that that's okay, you know? Like if I were using fear-mongering tactics, and if you guys, like if my customers were just like, Jess, we are not comfortable with that, then I would hope, you know, that I wouldn't bully you guys, that I would say, okay, I hear you, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake, and, you know, correct my actions, as opposed to just like, you know, boldly plowing through and just not caring and just hoping that, you know, being a bigger bully is going to somehow help people and change the world. And I'm embarrassed by some things that were said and done on Instagram, not by me, but by other brands, just, you know, calling out people for nothing, for just expressing their own opinions about ingredients. I did the same thing where like a particular, you should also go see Marie from And the Color Green. She's got a really good video breaking down sort of like this one particular argument that happened on Instagram pertaining to this one product where they were called out as being greenwashers, which isn't true because they're not, they don't even call, this brand doesn't even call themselves green. And then every single one of their ingredients was like, not even dissected, was just like laid out there, and it was just like, ugh, look at all this stuff. And people were like, I can't believe, you know, there's like nothing good in this ingredient list, but that wasn't true. And I pointed that out. I was like, well, okay, so there's some really cheap fillers in there. There's, you know, water and dimethicone, which like costs like pennies, which doesn't really, well, I mean, water's good for your skin, but like dimethicone just contributes to product feel. It doesn't really actually do anything good for your skin. But I was like, but there's some good ingredients in there. There's allantoin, there's panthenol, there's bisabolol, there's vitamin E, there's hyaluronic acid, there was sodium PCA. Like there was a bunch of stuff in there that was good, and ingredients that I particularly use. I use allantoin, I use panthenol, I use sodium PCA, so vitamin E, you know, and you know, people are being misguided by these so-called experts saying these are bad ingredients, when that's absolutely not true. It's just not true. And then, you know, they're reading ingredient decks as though they actually know what these things mean. So I mean, it's brands have to be more responsible with explaining what their ingredients mean and what they are, because the only thing that some people could point out that was like, and like including the account which had posted about this, they said the only thing that we can see in here that's good is vitamin E. That is shocking, because I don't know if that's a formulator who is, you know, writing for this account, but that is shocking. If the only thing in that entire ingredients deck that a professional can actually pinpoint as being healthy is the vitamin E, the only thing they could recognize on there was tocopherol, that's shocking to me. That means that this brand doesn't actually know anything about ingredients, which I don't think is true. So like, who is this person who's like speaking for this account? Do you know what I mean? I know I'm being really vague, but I don't want to be, I'm upset, but I don't want to be like calling out any particular brand. And you know what? This happens all the time in green beauty. There are so many brands and influencers and whatnot who use fear-mongering all the time, you know, all the time. Or even just say like, oh, well, I don't use this ingredient, but they don't explain why. Like maybe it's just a sensitivity or an allergy or something like that. And instead it sort of influences other people to demonize a certain ingredient that is perfectly fine, perfectly fine. And it's frustrating because, you know, there are a lot of brands out there who are just out to rob consumers, who are in it for themselves, who are in it just to create an empire. But there's a lot of people who, this is my career, right? This is my job, and I don't ever want to sell my company. I don't want to ever like sell out. And I think I'm just like a decent, honest person making the best formulas that I can at like the best price that I can. I try to be really transparent and open and educate everyone, but I feel like if this is the level of fear-mongering still happening, and if this was considered, this fear-mongering was considered changing the conversation, then I haven't done my work, because it's been years that that's the conversation I've been trying to change the industry away from, and I clearly haven't done enough. So I apologize for that, and I have more work to do. I definitely have more work to do. And you know what? Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes I'm scared of saying all the things that I want to say about the industry, and you know, I don't want to be seen as like catty. I don't want to be seen as, you know, just bad-mouthing other brands or whatever, and that's really not my point. I have a lot of respect for tons of brands out there, even if I don't like, you know, some of their messaging or some of their branding or some of the ingredients that they use and stuff like that. There's a lot of room for, you know, a lot of brands in this industry, for better or worse. It's huge, you know, but there's just also a lot of finger pointing and, you know, putting down other brands or certain ingredients in order to like elevate an image, you know, their own image. And I don't think that that's okay. And I don't think it's okay to not be looking out for the consumer, because I mean that you guys, it's, you know, I'm a consumer too, right? And I don't like when I feel like brands aren't looking out for me. So I hope that I never lose that vision and that purpose in my brand, with my brand, and that, you know, I know that I still have a lot of work when it comes to the activism that I always wanted to be part of my brand. Sometimes that's just, it's really hard for me to keep that up. You know, it's a lot to manage. It's a lot to manage as a single woman running a business. I have anxiety, and I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to be stepping on toes. But I do feel like it's my responsibility to educate and to be honest, and to be, I'm accountable to my customers, right? And Green Beauty, you know, it was once a safe space that was healthy and compassionate and nurturing and fun, super fun. And it's become now this place of privilege and of fear and of just absolute ridiculousness, to be honest. $200 creams that aren't worth that much. You know, brands that say that they sprinkle, I don't know, love and you know, good vibes and stuff. I mean, that should just come for free. Who's hand creating products that aren't infused with love and good vibes? You know, my joke is that like I include that for free in my products. Oh, sorry, I have a view of my recycling bin and cardboard boxes. So yeah, I don't know. That's just my little rant for this week. I have so much to say about this, and I should probably organize my thoughts and just kind of like do one section at a time. But yeah, so that's what I posted about on Instagram this morning. Today is Tuesday, so it'd be back a couple of days. And yeah, that's just what I have to say for this week. So hopefully next week will be, I don't know, a little bit more positive, a little less anxiety. The world just feels kind of like scary to me this week, you know, with like the tornado and just with my industry acting like asshats. I really like the word asshat. What does that even mean? And yeah, let me know how, as a brand with a tiny platform, how I can serve you better. I mean, I have a couple of ideas, but I just feel like, I don't know, like if I were bigger, I would have more power, and if I had more power, I would have a stronger voice, and I just feel like, does anyone care what I have to say, you know? Anyhow, you guys do. At least the 300 people that'll watch my video do, maybe. Anyways, give me a thumbs up. I keep on getting like a couple of thumbs down, and I don't care. It's always someone in the UK. What do the British have against me, honestly? Just joking. Bye.